$14,000 dogs are being killed every day in the United States, 365 days a year.
14,000 dogs die every single day. Every single day.
You can't look at numbers like 14,000 a day and not say, okay, we're at crisis mode. The kill rates in most animal control facilities are 95% plus. They're very, very high kill rates. So most dogs that go into these facilities don't make it out. It's killing by either heart stick, which is, as the name implies, or through what they call gassing, but is actually a form of asphyxiation. It's sucking the oxygen out of a metal box that the dogs are in.
There are counties in North Carolina, South Carolina, that they use that as the primary means of euthanasia. And they put a dog in a small wire crate and shove it in a room and suffocate it to death, and death can take up to an hour. And it is the most horrific, horrible thing you've ever seen. They put multiple animals in a gas chamber, and they know what's happening. One dies before the other, so a dog is right there watching another dog die.
It's really difficult whenever you can't see them all rescued, but of course the shelter gets so many dogs, it's impossible to rescue them all.
We always have to think about the dogs that we couldn't help. That's the heartbreaking part of what we do every day in rescue. It's a numbers game, and the numbers are staggering what we're up against.
You can talk to people in the community, and they have no clue that this shelter puts to sleep as many animals as they do.
The building, which was built in 1985, was built to house 78 animals. We can take in 78 on a good day in the summer. We are seeing more and more that, animals are a little disposable. Last calendar year, 2010, we took in roughly 7,200 dogs and cats. What we had to end up euthanizing was about 4,900, close to 5,000.
We throw around this word euthanize and euthanasia, and the description or definition of euthanize or euthanasia is mercy killing. It means you're taking an animal out of its suffering state. We can't use that word in this mission, in this crisis that we're going through. We are killing highly adoptable, wonderful, beautiful animals every day. And I feel like we're tricking ourselves into thinking by using that word, we're making it okay. And we all need to get really clear what's happening.
It is very challenging when we know that we're having to come in here every day and face possible euthanasia. And it is hard knowing that there's so many that we couldn't help. But at least for the ones we could, we made a difference.
How long we keep the animals does vary. The minimum standard and the requirement under the state is 3 days. With the volume coming in and with a finite amount of space, we also fall under minimum space requirements and guidelines under the state. We simply cannot be a storage facility or a warehouse for animals to hold them indefinitely for adoption or rescue claim or what have you. We only have so much space for them.
So I think our biggest problem is really educating the people that are sort of in charge. Aside from speaking up and saying we're not okay with this, to help these people, like Barbara from Chester is the perfect example. She is totally bucking the system. She's one woman who is saying, no, I'm not doing this.
It's overwhelming. We stay at maximum capacity. We probably stay at about 65 to 70 dogs on any given day.
She cares incredibly about these animals. We went down, we helped facilitate a $40,000 grant for the Pet Finder Foundation to basically overhaul her entire facility, making a huge difference, allowing her to do her job more efficiently and effectively, really helped her start to concentrate on the adoption end of it and not worry about the minutia of her job. So her kill rate went down significantly in a very short amount of time.
We don't set dates. A lot of shelters, they required by law, or they just kind of go by the minimum dates. If a dog comes in without a collar, they hold it for 5 days. If it comes in with a collar, they hold it for 10 days. Those are the guidelines for the state that we're required to do. We have dogs that have been here probably 6-8 months, that are very highly adoptable dogs. They're very good dogs. We try to move them and take pictures of them. I've got to make sure before I go home that every dog is cared for. I go through and check every pen, make sure they're clean, make sure they're dry, make sure they have food and water. You know, if it's something that somebody says that dog's not adoptable and I see something different in it, I mean, I love that moment when they're going to be adopted or going to rescue. It's just an amazing moment. Unfortunately, when the time comes to make a decision, you know, if I have posted a dog over and over and over and haven't gotten any response, haven't gotten much interest, you know, then I have to make that decision on that dog. Then when we do pull them in, you know, we pull them in one at a time and just kind of, you know, not make them nervous, keep everything calm and everything, and just kind of pet them and talk to them. And pretty much once you do the injection, it's within a matter of seconds that they're down. So they really don't, you know, they're not agitated or upset or anything. It's, you know, it's a pretty peaceful process. As long as they're being petted and know that they're loved in that moment, you know, I think that's very important.
Can't be naive into thinking that we can adopt our way out of this serious crisis. The two main problems, first is obviously spay-neuter. People are not spaying and neutering their dogs as they should. And the second simply is education, and they both sort of go hand in hand.
People simply don't want to spay and neuter their dogs.
There are so many people that don't spay and neuter as well, you know, that rather than spend the money on a spay or a neuter surgery, they just let them have a litter because they know that they can bring the litter to the shelter.
It's a spiral effect that unless we get people to spay and neuter their animals, we will always have these litters that show up in the shelter over and over again.
They've done a lot of studies to find out why people don't spay or neuter their animals. The biggest reason is people don't have the money. And those same organizations have compiled data that will prove that if the money's available, if there's subsidies available, people will bring in their animals to have them spay or neuter.
Lulu's main focus is really spay-neuter. The statistic that stands is that one unspayed female and one unneutered male exponentially throughout their lifetime and the lifetimes of their litters can produce over 42,000 dogs. If we can go out and we can spay or neuter 100 dogs in a year, I don't even know what that statistic would be, but taking that out exponentially is huge, and that's where we need to be.
I recently made a trip to the Carolinas and visited our shelters. And walking through the shelters, I spotted Buster. Buster really captured my attention. He was just full of wags and kisses. He came up to me right at his kennel run and was just full body wags and friendly. That was actually his last day. And had we not rescued Buster, Buster would not be here today. So we rescued Buster and immediately took him to one of our foster families.
My favorite part of fostering is the play, the love.
They learn the routine. They learn how we live here, and they fall into it.
I would have to say that the hardest part of fostering is giving the dog up.
They're great fosters, and you know that's what we need in order for us to be able to rescue dogs and have great family dogs, is the contribution from foster families like Nancy and Bob.
One dog in particular that I sent to Lulu's rescue, the family sent me a video of the dog running around the backyard playing with the kids. And just seeing that keeps you going because you know that dog's life has been forever changed, and it was because of you getting it from the shelter.
Sandy's our little wire-haired terrier that I spotted on my trip through the shelters. She came out of Catawba County, which is north of Charlotte.
Lulu's is one of the rescues that will trust when I tell them, you know, my opinion on something, and I try and be very blatantly honest with the rescues.
We rescued Sandy. Sandy is just an adorable little orphan Annie looking dog, and we always do very well with little scruffy terriers.
Once we get comprehensive enough information for their bios, we create bios for them, then they're listed on Pet Finder. We start to take applications. Our process is very thorough.
We do these home visits to make sure that from this point forward, they are going to have an amazing life.
There were many questions that I asked. They ask me questions. And I want them to ask me questions.
They've been given up on their whole life. That's why they're in these shelters. You know, we make a promise as a rescue that we're not going to give up on them.
We pride ourselves on matching the right dog with the right family.
Then the dog travels via transport.
Okay, who we got? Come on, cowboy. Oh my God, you just like a pillow. I love doing it. And I especially love when I take them to meet their adopters and the adopters are crying because they're so happy to get this dog. There's nothing like it in the world, nothing like it. They're mine, I protect them, and I'll protect them to my death. Okay.
The Goldman family was specifically requested Buster, thought right away he was cute and fit the profile of their family. We review the application, we meet them, we go to their home, we do a home visit, we talk about the dog and their family, their lifestyle and what they do, and we agreed it was a perfect match.
I kept telling him, it's all right, babe, just a little bit further, and all this will be all over.
Yeah, we wanted a calm, laid-back dog, a dog that would like to take walks, be good with cats.
And good with kids. And
yeah. So we have a lot of activity in our house.
We received an application from her adopter, Dean, and Sandy is a little more quiet, a little more timid type dog, and Dean's family is more quiet. She's going to live like one of his kids and just have an absolutely wonderful life, so we knew that was a perfect match for the two of them.
I think having the information from the foster and being able to talk to them gave me even more background information as far as her temperament and that fact that she gets along with everybody. And so I think organizations like Lulu's are truly important to the animals, but also to the families. I think it makes it much easier to match them up. There are always dogs looking for homes, and I think the shelter systems, and especially the rescues where people have gone into the shelters and saved dogs from what would surely have been, a terrible fate. I think that's important.
Rescue dogs know they've been rescued. They love you forever.
But overall, we're never going to beat the numbers. So the culture has to change. The culture and the laws in this country have to change. We have to stop pet overpopulation, and that has to be done through education and spay-neuter.
So spay and neuter, that would be number one. And beyond that, 14,000 dogs die a day. What more do you need to know?
Now that you know what is happening, now that you've seen firsthand what goes on, that from this moment on, this is your call to action. You must do something. And again, it can be something as simple as writing your congressman or woman and saying, this is not okay with me, or going and volunteering somewhere, or writing a check. But do something. Don't just say, oh, this is horrible, and walk away and go back to your normal life, because these dogs, these animals are really depending on us.